What is this smooth metallic attachment found connected to a standard shower hose? The wand is long and cylindrical with a rounded tip, replacing the standard shower head entirely. I have never seen a bathroom fixture designed quite like this. Does anyone know what it is? It's a shower douche wand. This personal hygiene device attaches directly to standard shower plumbing, bypassing the traditional aerated shower head to deliver a focused, directional stream of water. They are designed to regulate water flow for internal cleansing. By using the shower's existing temperature and pressure controls, the user can ensure the water is safe and comfortable. Similar devices have been utilized in hydrotherapy for decades to assist with personal sanitation. My friend found this strange metal piece and is probably going to make jewelry out of it. But I know I'm going to get asked what it originally belonged to, so I might as well ask now. Does anyone know what it is? It's a backspacer for a folding pocket knife. These spacers fit between the handle scales to maintain structural integrity and provide a counterweight for balance. The ridged pattern you see along the edge is known as jimping. Jimping involves cutting small notches into the metal to provide better grip and tactile feedback for the user's thumb or fingers when handling the knife. My sister found this in her backyard in Denver. It is a small, cylindrical metallic object with a distinct ring around the edge and what appears to be an internal electronic mechanism. Does anyone know what it is? It is the removable tip from a telescoping magnetic flashlight tool, often branded by automotive parts suppliers like Lordco. These specialized mechanic tools feature a built-in light-emitting diode surrounded by a strong neodymium magnet. They are designed to extend up to 2 feet long, allowing mechanics to reach dropped bolts or tools in dark, cramped engine bays. The tip likely snapped off or unscrewed from the main antenna-like shaft and was dropped in the grass. What is this strange, silent object traveling northeast across the early morning sky in eastern Tennessee? It was spotted moving at a constant pace with a highly defined, conical dispersion of glowing light trailing right behind it. Does anyone know what it is? It's a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launch. When a rocket reaches the upper atmosphere, usually between 40 and 60 miles above the Earth, the atmospheric pressure is so low that the exhaust plume expands rapidly outward. The sunlight from over the horizon catches these exhaust gases and water vapor, illuminating them against the dark pre-dawn sky. This creates the massive glowing cone, sometimes referred to as a space jellyfish, which can be visible for hundreds of miles away from the actual launch site. I found this massive metal object in the basement of a 150-year-old church. Image search engines suggest it is a window sash weight, but I have worked with sash weights before, and this is far too big and heavy to be one. Does anyone know what it is? It's a church bell clapper. The clapper is the suspended internal mechanism that strikes the inside surface of a bell, known as the sound bow, to produce its ringing chime. In a historic 19th century church, a clapper like this would be forged from heavy cast iron or steel. Its substantial weight and size are specifically calibrated to the dimensions of the bell, ensuring it transfers enough kinetic energy to vibrate the thick bronze casing without cracking it. I found this small white plastic piece in my pan while cooking a trout fillet with a homemade sauce. It has the word press embossed on the top. I had just finished adding coriander, cumin, ginger, and salt to the pan. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a plastic breakaway tab from a spice container lid. Specifically, it is the small structural piece you press down on to fracture the seal and open the shaker side of the cap. When pressing these tabs down with too much force, they occasionally snap off completely and fall into the food being seasoned. It is a standard manufacturing design for bulk spice containers, engineered to keep the contents airtight and fresh until the first use. Always check your spice caps before pouring to avoid mixing unwanted plastic into your dinner. This metallic tool has been sitting in my dresser drawer since I was a kid. I am 37 now, and I believe it originally belonged to my late grandfather. It has a folding lever mechanism and a distinct curved edge. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a pair of vintage folding nail clippers. Modern folding clippers were first patented in 1881 by Eugene Heim and Celestin Matz. but the design was perfected by inventors like William Bassett in the 1940s. The tool uses a compound lever to multiply the force applied by your thumb, driving two hardened steel cutting jaws together to shear through the nail. Many of these mid-century clippers were constructed from high-carbon steel, allowing them to remain sharp and fully functional for decades. What is this lightweight metal object that feels like it is made of tin? It has a crank handle on one side, measurement markings stamped into both sides, a strange spinning metal rotor in the middle, and a fine wire mesh across the bottom. Does anyone know what it is? It's a rotary flour sifter. This specific crank-operated design became a staple in early 20th century American kitchens, with notable patents filed by inventors like Jacob Bromwell in the late 1800s. When you turn the handle, the internal metal agitator scrapes against the wire mesh screen. This mechanical action breaks up clumps and aerates dry baking ingredients like flour or powdered sugar, creating a lighter, more uniform texture for baking. I found 4 of these plastic pieces mixed in with a bunch of stuff in a relative storage unit. I am trying to figure out if these are just garbage or if I am going to regret throwing them out. Does anyone know what they are? These objects are known as Craftsman VersaTrack end caps. The VersaTrack system is a garage wall organization product manufactured by Craftsman, a tool brand originally launched by Sears in 1927. These specific plastic end caps snap into the open sides of the track rails. They serve a functional purpose by preventing sliding hooks and heavy-hanging tools from accidentally slipping off the edge of the track, while also providing a clean, finished look to the installation. My grandfather recently passed away and left me this gold ring. It might have belonged to his father originally. I remember him mentioning something about community service, but the symbols are hard to decipher. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Masonic ring. Freemasonry is a centuries-old fraternal organization, and the Scottish Rite is an appendant body that a master mason can join to further their education. The prominent double-headed eagle is the emblem of the 32nd degree, representing the master of the royal secret. The eagle typically holds a sword in its talons, with a triangle containing the number 32. While the organization does engage heavily in community service and charity, this specific ring is a symbol of a member's rank and dedication to the fraternity. We were preparing to sell our couch and remove the back support cushions for transportation, only to find this weird electronic device hidden underneath. It has a battery and an on and off switch. Nobody in the house recognizes it, and we have not had any strangers or service workers over recently. Does anyone know what it is? It's a practical joke device known as an annoying cricket prank gadget. These small, battery-powered electronic boards are designed to emit a loud, intermittent chirping or beeping noise, usually spaced randomly between 2 to 15 minutes apart. The random intervals make it incredibly difficult for the victim to pinpoint the source of the sound. The small size and flat shape allow it to be easily hidden under furniture, behind baseboards, or inside light fixtures. Someone definitely hid this inside your couch as a prank to drive you crazy. I found this metal frame in my neighbor's trash. It can fold up and has 4 tiny wheels. It cannot be a chair, and I thought maybe it was an old stroller, but the wheels are far too weak. My only guess is a laundry cart. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a folding bar cart. Specifically, it is the frame of a mid-century style serving cart, though it appears to be missing its flat trays. These carts were highly popularized in the 1950s and 1960s for entertaining guests in the home, allowing hosts to roll beverages and glassware smoothly from the kitchen to the living room. The weak casters are designed strictly for rolling on smooth indoor floors, which is why it resembles a flimsy stroller frame. I found this short, flexible tube sitting at the bottom of a box of old junk in my garage. It looks like it might go to a hand vacuum. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a braided tire pump hose. Specifically, it is the extension attachment for a portable air compressor or a bicycle pump. The mechanism works by utilizing the threaded metal fitting on one end to screw directly into the pump housing, creating an airtight seal. The opposite end features a quick-release lever or threaded chuck that clamps down onto the Schrader valve of a car or bicycle tire. The internal rubber tubing is reinforced with woven fabric or metal mesh to handle high pneumatic pressure, allowing air to flow securely into the tire without bursting the line. I received a random package in the mail from an unknown sender. I know it is part of an online review scam, but I am curious about the item itself. It is a small piece of curved black plastic with hooks on either end. Can anyone tell me what this might be used for? What you found is a car seat bag hanger. These hooks are designed to attach underneath the headrest of a vehicle's front seats. By sliding the open upper loop around the metal post of the headrest, it creates a sturdy anchor point. You can then use the downward-facing hook to suspend grocery bags, purses, or backpacks, preventing them from rolling around on the floorboards during transit. I found these two fold-up bars installed on the wall in my garage. One is directly above the other, and they seem quite sturdy. I thought they might be laundry-related, or maybe I could use them to do dead hangs for exercise. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a set of vertical bicycle storage racks. These wall-mounted bars are specifically designed to hang bicycles vertically by their front wheels. By rotating the wheel onto the hook, the weight of the bicycle is supported securely, keeping it off the garage floor to save space. While they might feel sturdy enough to support a person doing dead hangs, it highly depends on whether they are secured directly into the wooden wall studs rather than just the drywall. It is generally best to stick to their intended mechanical use to avoid ripping them out of the wall. I came out to find my car windshield broken while parked, and this object was resting nearby. It is approximately 9 millimeters in width and 18 millimeters long, with distinct lateral and longitudinal grooves on the sides. It seems to be made of lead and has a weird notch on the front, but strangely, it didn't completely penetrate the glass. Does anyone know what it is? It's a .38 caliber wad cutter bullet. A wad cutter is a specially designed flat-fronted bullet typically used for target shooting. Because the front is completely flat rather than pointed, it punches a clean, neat hole through paper targets, making it much easier to score competitive shooting matches. This specific design limits its aerodynamic efficiency, meaning it loses velocity quickly over longer distances. That rapid loss of kinetic energy is exactly why it shattered your windshield upon impact, but lacked the power to travel all the way through the laminated safety glass. My wife's grandmother owned this little metal mesh purse, and we know absolutely nothing about its history or origins. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Whiting and Davis mesh purse. Founded in 1876 in Massachusetts, the company revolutionized fashion when Charles Whiting developed the first automated chainmail machine in 1912. This mechanical marvel linked tiny metal rings at a rate of 400 per minute, turning what was once a luxury handmade good into an accessible fashion accessory for the middle class. Today, vintage pieces like yours in good condition are highly collectible and can be worth a few $100s. I found this short white cable in the house, and I am not sure what it connects to. It looks exactly like an Apple product, but I only have an iPhone. Does anyone know what it is? It's a charging adapter for an Apple Pencil. When Apple introduced their stylus line, users needed a way to charge the device without leaving it awkwardly plugged directly into the port of an iPad. This specific adapter bridges the connection, allowing the internal battery of the pencil to receive power from a standard lightning cable. The internal pins transfer the 5 volts required to charge the accessory safely. We found this small powdery pill in a family member's car. It looks highly suspicious, and we were immediately worried it might be an illegal substance. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is actually a Sweet Tarts candy. First introduced in 1962 by the Sunline Corporation in Missouri, these candies were created using the same basic recipe as Pixie Sticks, but compressed into solid tablets to prevent the messy powder spills that parents complained about. The manufacturing process uses heavy industrial presses to compact dextrose, corn syrup, and malic acid into these distinct puck shapes. You can rest easy knowing this is just a forgotten piece of tart candy. My girlfriend wears this specific perfume, and I would love to surprise her with a replacement bottle. She has said herself it is so old that the label wore off and she does not know what brand it is anymore. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a bottle of Lancôme Idole Nectar Eau de Parfum. Lancôme, a French luxury cosmetics house founded in 1935, is famous for its intricate bottle designs. The Idole line features one of the slimmest perfume bottles in the world, engineered by architect Shafiq Ghasmi to measure just 15 millimeters thick, closely resembling a modern smartphone. The Nectar variant specifically features a peach-colored glass gradient. You can easily find a 100 milliliter replacement for her at most major department stores. I found this tiny magnet attached to my truck door today. It is extremely strong for its size, but I have no idea why it was there or where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? It's a little neodymium magnet. These are rare earth magnets made from an alloy of neodymium, iron, and boron. First developed in 1982 by General Motors and Sumitomo Special Metals, they are the strongest type of permanent magnets commercially available. This explains the extreme pulling force despite its small size. Because they are utilized in thousands of modern applications, from audio speakers to securing small items on vehicles, it is nearly impossible to pinpoint exactly where this specific piece originated before it latched onto your truck. These strange little plastic things keep popping up all over my property lately. I have found a bunch of them scattered in the grass and dirt near the exterior walls of my house. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wire organizer clip, specifically used for routing telecommunications cables. These small plastic brackets are designed to hold coaxial cables or Ethernet wires tightly against baseboards or exterior house siding. You simply press the wire into the curved hook and secure the clip using its adhesive backing or a small masonry screw. The ones you are finding likely fell off an old exterior cable run after the plastic degraded from years of ultraviolet sun exposure. A friend of mine found this interesting-looking coin. It has phrases inscribed on it like Semper Communis and Theleb Ka'arna. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a custom-minted token, likely from a European live-action role-playing, or LARP, community. While Semper Communis is historically a motto associated with elements of the German Air Force, Theleb Ka'arna points directly to the fantasy lore of the Elric of Melniboné saga, written by Michael Moorcock in the 1960s. Rather than legal tender, tokens like these are struck by large Renaissance and fantasy combat groups to use as immersive currency during their weekend-long events. The mismatched real-world geography and fantasy names confirm it is a modern custom piece rather than historical currency. What is this small plastic vial containing 3 tiny rubber objects that look exactly like miniature bananas? I placed a smartwatch next to it for scale. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are eyelash curler cushion replacements. These small silicone or rubber pads insert into the clamping mechanism of a mechanical eyelash curler. Over time, the original pads wear down, dry out, or split from the daily pressure of crimping lashes. Replacing the pad restores a soft, rounded edge, preventing the metal tool from physically cutting or damaging the hair. They are manufactured with a slight curve to perfectly match the contour of the human eyelid. I found this under one of those large steel umbrella stands in a grassy field. The heavy stand had killed off the grass, and this brown, textured lump was sticking out of the dirt. I thought it was a truffle at first, but now I am not so sure. Does anyone know what it is? It's a chunk of hardened polyurethane spray foam. This expanding foam is a chemical compound created by mixing isocyanate and polyol resin, which reacts and expands rapidly to fill voids. In outdoor and construction settings, workers frequently use it underground to secure and stabilize posts, telephone poles, or heavy umbrella stands in the soil. Over time, exposure to dirt and moisture gives the cured foam an organic, mushroom-like appearance. I received this as a gift from relatives for my newborn, and I am entirely too embarrassed to ask them what it is. It is made out of wood and silicone, featuring a string and a metal clip. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a pacifier clip, often called a binky clip, but this specific one has a teething ring attached to the loop instead of a standard pacifier. The metal clip is designed to fasten securely to a baby's clothing, preventing the attached item from dropping onto the floor. The silicone and wooden beads provide varied textures for the infant to chew on, safely soothing their gums during teething while keeping the toy sanitary and within reach. What is this small metallic thing? It looks like a pair of tweezers with a sliding ring and textured grips at the tip. Does anyone know what it is? It's a bodkin, a specialized tool used in sewing and tailoring. Historically made from bone or wood in earlier centuries, modern bodkins are typically forged from steel. They are designed specifically for threading elastic, ribbon, or drawstrings through a narrow fabric casing. To use it, you clamp the elastic between the textured teeth at the tip, then slide the small metal ring down the shaft to lock the jaws tightly shut. The smooth, blunt end of the bodkin allows you to easily push and guide the elastic through the entire length of the fabric channel without snagging the material or losing your grip on the string. I found a bunch of these corncob-looking holes on a pine tree in Edmonton, Canada. The tree has pale bark on its limbs and doesn't seem to be doing very well. Does anyone know what it is? These horizontal rows of punctures are sap wells created by sapsuckers. Sapsuckers are a specialized type of small woodpecker, primarily the yellow-bellied sapsucker in North America. Unlike other woodpeckers that drill deeply into wood to extract grubs, sapsuckers drill shallow, perfectly spaced holes just deep enough to reach the inner bark where the tree's sap flows. They use their specialized brush-like tongues to lap up the sap that pools in these wells. The sticky sap also traps small insects, providing a secondary source of protein for the birds. A heavily drilled tree can suffer from reduced nutrient flow, which explains why this particular pine is struggling. I bought some new headphones from Skull Candy, and they came with this unusually short charging cord. I easily recognize that one end is a standard USB-C connector, but the other end is completely flat and lacks the typical metal housing. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a slim USB Type-A connector. Standard USB plugs feature a rectangular metal shield that surrounds the internal contact pins. To save manufacturing costs and reduce bulk, tech companies sometimes use this stripped-down design. It eliminates the outer metal shielding, leaving only the plastic wafer and the exposed electrical contacts. To use it, you simply insert it into any standard USB charger or computer port, ensuring the exposed pins face the matching contacts inside the port. While highly compact, these slim connectors lack the physical guidance of a traditional metal plug, so you have to be careful to plug them in right side up. What are these massive cement structures piled up along a river in the Pacific Northwest? There are a ton of them clustered together, heavily intermixed with dead tree branches, sand, and large rocks. Does anyone know what it is? These are known as tetrapods, which function as heavy-duty breakwaters. Developed originally by a French laboratory in 1950, tetrapods are four-legged concrete structures used extensively in coastal and river engineering. Rather than attempting to build a solid, flat wall to hold back water, engineers stack hundreds of tetrapods together. Their unique geometric shape allows water to flow around them, naturally dissipating the kinetic energy of crashing waves or rapid river currents. Over time, as the water pushes rocks and debris into the gaps, the entire structure becomes even more interlocked and stable, effectively preventing severe soil erosion along the banks. Landscapers came through my apartment complex today, and this afternoon I came out to see all of these little cork-looking things scattered across the ground. There are also a bunch of uniformly spaced holes all over the grassy area. Can someone explain what is going on here? This object is known as a soil plug, and it is the result of core aeration. Lawn care professionals use specialized heavy machinery called aerators to mechanically punch holes into the turf and extract these cylindrical cores of soil and thatch. This process drastically reduces soil compaction, allowing water, oxygen, and nutrients to reach the grass roots more effectively. The plugs are intentionally left on the surface to break down naturally over a few weeks, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. What is this logo, featuring a hand with a distinct spiral shape right in the center of the palm? Does anyone know what it is? It's the old Teva logo. Teva is an American footwear brand founded in 1984 by a Grand Canyon river guide named Mark Thatcher. He created the first sports sandal by attaching Velcro watch bands to a traditional thong sandal so they would not float away downstream. The logo itself is inspired by an ancient Hopi symbol representing friendship and water, which aligns perfectly with the brand's river rafting origins and outdoor utility focus. I was inspecting my attic ceiling for damage after a severe storm when I spotted this whitish thing. It is the only one I was able to see, and it measures about 2 centimeters across. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a dense spider web, likely concealing an egg sac or acting as a protective retreat. Spiders produce silk from specialized glands called spinnerets, located at the end of their abdomen. This silk is a protein fiber that is incredibly strong and flexible. In dark, undisturbed places like attics, certain spider species will weave these dense, opaque patches to protect their developing spiderlings from predators and environmental temperature shifts. I found this small gray piece mixed in while using a ceramic grinder. It is tiny and clearly made of manufactured plastic, with a distinct cross-shaped hole in the center. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage Lego Technic bushing, specifically a half bushing from the 1990s. LEGO introduced the Technic line in 1977 as the Expert Builder series, bringing complex mechanical parts like gears, axles, and pins to the classic brick system. This specific bushing is designed to slide onto a standard LEGO cross-axle. Its primary mechanical function is to lock wheels, gears, or levers securely in place along the axle, preventing them from sliding side to side during operation. I saw this vintage menu from a restaurant founded in 1893 in Tennessee, and it lists a dessert item called dopes. I searched everywhere online but could not find any hits to explain what this might be. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a piece of regional linguistic history. It is a slang term for a sugary, carbonated drink like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Decades ago, especially in the American South, older generations referred to soda as dope. This slang originated from the late 19th and early 20th century, when early sodas famously contained trace amounts of cocaine or other stimulating ingredients. If you were visiting a farm in Tennessee 40 years ago, you might be offered a dope and nabs, which simply meant a cold glass bottle of soda and a packet of peanut butter crackers. What is the purpose of this football-shaped inlay on the wood in this portion of a restaurant booth? I have seen this in other sections of wood on various furniture pieces and wondered if it was filling in a knothole. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a football patch, or sometimes a boat patch. This is a standard manufacturing repair used in the production of plywood. Plywood is constructed by gluing together thin sheets of wood veneer. When the top visible veneer has a natural defect, like a loose knot or a crack, a machine punches out the flaw using a die shaped like a football. A perfectly matching piece of healthy veneer is then glued into that exact spot. The pointed, tapered shape helps the patch blend into the surrounding wood grain much better than a traditional circle or square. What is this obscure phrase supposed to mean? I found this text referencing a place, but I do not get the joke at all. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a local slang reference to Kennywood, an amusement park located near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Founded in 1898, it is one of the oldest and most recognized amusement parks in the United States. In the Pittsburgh area, locals commonly use the phrase, "Kennywood is open," as a polite or humorous way to tell someone that their zipper is down. It is a regional cultural quirk that has been passed down for generations. I bit into a tomato, sucked out some of the juice, and noticed an out-of-place texture while chewing. It felt and tasted like a sweet salad. I turned on my light to look inside the tomato and saw these strange green sprouts. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as vivipary. This is a botanical phenomenon where seeds germinate while still attached to or inside the parent plant. In tomatoes, the warm, moist environment inside the fruit provides the perfect conditions for the seeds to sprout prematurely. The natural hormone that normally keeps the seeds dormant simply fails, allowing tiny green shoots to grow directly through the flesh of the tomato. It is perfectly safe to eat, which explains the leafy, salad-like taste you experienced. I found this piece of metal on my living room floor, just beside my electric recliner. I have not experienced any issues with the chair's movement, so I have no idea what this is. Does anyone know what it is? It's a locking cotter pin. These mechanical fasteners are used to secure pins or shafts in place so they do not slide out during operation. The straight part of the wire pushes through a hole in a main metal shaft, while the curved part snaps over the outside to lock it in place. While your recliner is working fine right now, a structural pin is missing its safety lock. Without this cotter pin, the main joint will eventually vibrate loose and cause the chair mechanism to fail. What is this small glass and metal cylinder found laying around on the ground? It has a mouthpiece on one end and a threaded metal base on the other, and it feels slightly wet and sticky on the outside. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a vape cartridge, commonly used for vaporizing concentrated nicotine or cannabis oils. Specifically, this uses a standard 510 thread connection, which was originally developed by Joytech in the late 2000s and became the industry standard. Inside the glass tank is a small metal heating element called an atomizer. When screwed onto a battery, the battery sends an electrical current to heat the coil, vaporizing the thick liquid inside. The wet and sticky feeling on the outside is due to the oil leaking out of the airflow holes. I live in a house in Wisconsin that is well over 100 years old. Recently, this strange material started falling from the ceiling. It is shiny, but not metal, soft, and crumbles easily, leaving a strange powder on my hands. A few weeks ago, I had to remove a light bulb socket, and this stuff just poured out of the ceiling cavity. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is vermiculite insulation. Vermiculite is a natural mineral that undergoes massive expansion when heated, a process called exfoliation. This creates lightweight, fire-resistant pellets that were poured into the attics of millions of homes between the 1920s and the 1980s. While vermiculite itself is harmless, a massive portion of the commercial supply sold in North America under the brand name Zonalite came from a specific mine in Libby, Montana. That specific mine was contaminated with naturally occurring asbestos. Because of this high contamination risk, you should never disturb it, as airborne asbestos fibers are extremely hazardous to your lungs. What is this massive yellow cylinder sitting out in the middle of a rural agricultural field? I spotted this briefly on a television documentary. It looks extremely heavy and is completely wrapped in bright yellow plastic. Does anyone know what it is? It's a modern cotton module. Historically, harvested cotton was compacted into massive rectangular blocks that were left exposed to the elements. Today, modern combine harvesters have revolutionized the process. As the machine strips the cotton from the plants, it continuously compresses the lint into dense, round bales weighing up to 5,000 pounds. Once the module reaches full size, the machine automatically wraps it in heavy-duty, weather-resistant plastic before dropping it into the field. This protects the valuable crop from rain and wind until trucks transport it to the cotton gin for processing. My neighbor passed away, and the family left boxes of stuff out by the curb. I found these small, furry figures in the pile. Are these just trash, or does anyone know what it is? These objects are known as Labubu or Lafufu art toys. Originally created by Hong Kong-born artist Ka-Sing Lun in 2015, the Labubu character is part of a larger universe of monster figures called the Monsters. They are produced by the massive Chinese toy company Pop Mart, primarily sold in blind boxes where the buyer doesn't know which specific figure they will get until opening it. While these specific out-of-box figures might not hold immense resale value, they are highly collectible in the designer toy market and function as mass-produced pieces of pop culture art. I moved into a new apartment and received a welcome bag from the internet provider. Inside were these plastic discs that look slightly like pizza slicers, but the edges are totally dull. Does anyone know what it is? It's a promotional plastic pizza cutter. Even though the blade isn't extremely sharp, the wedge shape of the hard plastic concentrates enough pressure to easily separate the soft crust and cheese of a pizza when rolled across a flat surface. The central hub is designed with a simple friction-fit mechanism, allowing the wheel to pop out for quick cleaning. Companies frequently hand these out as promotional items because a pizza cutter is a functional household tool that guarantees their printed logo will sit in a potential customer's kitchen drawer for years. What is this strange, fleshy-looking anomaly inside this onion? I bought it today and cut it open to find this dark, dense section right in the middle. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a rotting onion core, specifically experiencing a bacterial or fungal infection that turns the inner layers soft and dark. This condition is frequently caused by improper storage, particularly keeping onions in close proximity to potatoes. Potatoes release ethylene gas and excess moisture as they sit, which accelerates the sprouting and decaying process in nearby produce. The infection enters through the neck of the onion and travels down a specific biological layer, dissolving the plant tissue while leaving the surrounding rings seemingly intact and normal smelling. I found this tiny metal piece sitting on a table in my hotel room. I used a charging cable for scale since I did not have a banana handy. Does anyone know what it is? It's a 3-gram calibration weight for a digital pocket scale. Highly sensitive pocket scales, often used by jewelers, chemists, or hobbyists, require regular calibration to ensure accuracy. By placing a precisely machined weight of a known mass onto the sensor, the user can reset the scale's internal programming to register exactly 3 grams. Leaving one behind in a hotel room usually implies a previous guest was measuring out extremely precise quantities of small items. What are these objects dangling from a 2-mile stretch of overhead power lines? There are a couple hundred of them spaced out along the high-voltage wires. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a power line bird diverter. High-voltage transmission lines often blend into the landscape, making them an invisible hazard for migratory birds. To prevent fatal collisions, utility companies clamp these high-visibility devices onto the highest shield wires. They are designed to rotate in the wind, catch the sunlight, or glow in the dark using phosphorescent materials. By creating a clear visual obstacle, the diverters give flocks enough reaction time to adjust their flight path and safely clear the power lines. I found this small metallic component on the side of the road. The outer case is slightly bent and the internal magnets have definitely seen better days. I know it requires some repairs, but I need more information to get it running again. Does anyone know what it is? It is a small, brushed, direct current electric motor. Specifically, this looks like a purpose-built ratchet motor, commonly pulled from an automotive power door latch mechanism. Inside, an electromagnet interacts with the permanent magnets you mentioned to create rotational force. Because it is designed for a car's electrical system, you will need to reassemble the casing and connect it to a direct current power supply, providing between 9 and 14 volts to get the rotor spinning again. What is this unusual car bumper sticker featuring a series of directional arrows? It displays up, right, down, 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 followed by the phrase, "For democracy." Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a gaming decal, specifically referencing the hit 2024 video game Helldivers 2. In the game, players act as soldiers, fighting for managed democracy across the galaxy. To call in powerful airstrikes or weapons, players must rapidly input specific sequences on their controllers, similar to classic cheat codes. The sequence shown, up, right, down, 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 is the exact input required to summon a massive 500-kilogram bomb, making it a highly recognizable inside joke for players. I found this black mesh object leaning against a pole at my workplace. It features a woven fabric net stretched between rigid elastic borders and has small clips on the corners. I ended up throwing it away afterwards, but I am still curious. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a vehicle cargo net. Specifically, it is an envelope-style storage net designed to stretch across the rear trunk space of a car or SUV. The clips on the corners attach to specific mounting points built into the trunk lining. By tensioning the elastic mesh, the net forms a secure pocket that holds smaller objects tightly together, preventing groceries and loose gear from meandering around the cargo area while driving. I was cooking soup and noticed a weird, scaly black thing floating in the pot. It almost looks like a little alien egg. I only added basic vegetables, green lentils, and homemade broth, and I made sure to wash everything thoroughly beforehand. 4 of these floated to the top immediately. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a seed from a malva plant, commonly known as mallow. Mallow is a genus of herbaceous plants found in temperate regions worldwide. The seeds are characterized by their distinct, ribbed, wheel-like structure, which often breaks apart into small wedges. These seeds frequently grow near agricultural crops and can easily get mixed in with batches of harvested lentils or beans. Since they are naturally buoyant and very light, the dried seeds float to the surface when submerged in boiling broth. I found this while driving past a local intersection. It is a signpost that has a "Coming Soon" sign shaped exactly like a stop sign installed on it. Why would a city install a warning like this instead of just putting up the actual stop sign? Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an advance warning sign for a new traffic control measure. Traffic engineering standards require these temporary installations to give regular commuters time to break their old driving habits. If a city simply installed a new stop sign overnight at an intersection that previously had the right-of-way, the risk of rear-end collisions and drivers running the sign would spike dramatically. These signs typically stay up for 30 to 60 days to build driver awareness before the permanent stop sign is officially uncovered and enforced. I found this bizarre orange formation growing out of a branch while hiking in Maryland. It looks like a bright gelatinous mass clinging to the wood. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as cedar apple rust, a complex fungal disease caused by the pathogen Gymnosporangium juniperi virginiani. It requires two distinct host plants to complete its life cycle, typically an eastern red cedar and an apple or crabapple tree. What you are seeing is the teleal horn stage on the cedar host. During wet spring weather, these orange, jelly-like horns swell up and release millions of spores into the air. These spores then drift away to infect nearby apple trees, continuing the cycle of the disease. My friend came out of his house in Vero Beach, Florida, and saw this guy sitting perfectly still on a log. We are a 5-minute drive from the shore, nowhere near the ocean, yet this looks like a pale sea creature. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a dead, sun-bleached crayfish. Crayfish are freshwater crustaceans, meaning this one likely came from a nearby ditch, retention pond, or canal rather than the ocean. It was most likely snatched up by a bird, like a heron or crow, and dropped on the log. Over time, the intense Florida sun and ultraviolet radiation broke down the pigment molecules in its exoskeleton. This process turns the normally dark red or brown shell completely white, making it look like a piece of coral or a strange deep-sea crab. What is this heavy metallic apparatus, and how exactly does it work? It features angled bars, multiple padded sections, and a central lever, but its purpose isn't immediately obvious. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a seated calf raise machine, a specialized piece of gym equipment. Here's how it functions. You load standard weight plates onto the bare metal bar extending at a 45-degree angle. Next, place your feet on the lower foot pads and slide your knees snugly under the downward-facing pads. By extending your toes downward, you flex your calf muscles to press the weight up. This upward motion releases the vertical safety handle in the center, allowing you to slide it aside. The weight is then entirely supported by your calves. When finished, you simply press the weight to its highest point and lock the safety handle back into place to safely exit the machine. I noticed this strange, cone-shaped object hanging from the edge of a balcony. It seems to be held to the railing by some sort of thick webbing, and it is covered in bits of dried plant matter. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a bagworm cocoon. Bagworms are a family of moths whose caterpillars are famous for constructing highly effective protective cases. As soon as they hatch, the caterpillars spin a tough silk bag around themselves. As they grow and move around to feed, they weave environmental debris into the silk, using pieces of leaves, twigs, and bark for camouflage. The webbing attaching it to the balcony means the caterpillar has anchored itself to pupate. The female moth will actually remain inside this protective bag for her entire life, laying her eggs inside before she dies. My neighbor recently mounted this device, pointing directly at my house. It looks too old to be connected to a wireless network, and I don't see any wires hooking it up to a power source. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a dummy security camera. Homeowners often install these non-functional units as a psychological deterrent against trespassing or theft. While modern functional outdoor cameras require either a dedicated wired power supply, network cables, or at least a visible solar panel or battery housing, this unit lacks all operational infrastructure. The housing mimics older closed-circuit television cameras from the 1990s. Without a power source or a transmitting antenna, it cannot record or broadcast any footage, serving entirely as a visual prop to make observers think they are under surveillance. I noticed my Echo leaf blower had fallen off the wall in my garage. When I started the machine up, this random plastic object went blowing across the yard. I initially thought it had broken off the blower during the fall, but I could not find it anywhere in the exploded view of the official parts manual. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an intake tube cover, and it is in fact a piece of your leaf blower. Despite not being clearly labeled in every schematic, this component serves as a protective grate or housing piece for the air intake mechanism. When a leaf blower operates, it pulls in massive volumes of air through an intake vent before accelerating it out the nozzle. This cover is designed to prevent loose clothing, hair, or large debris from being sucked directly into the high-speed rotating impeller blades. Since it blew across the yard when you started the engine, the fall likely shattered its mounting clips, detaching it from the main motor housing. I was taking my dogs out into the yard and found this strange object in the grass. It is bright yellow with green specks throughout it and looks like it has been nibbled on. My first thought was that it might be some kind of rodent poison, so I disposed of it carefully. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is fishing bait. Specifically, this is a type of moldable dough bait used primarily for catching trout and panfish. These baits are manufactured with bright, high-visibility colors and infused with strong scents, often fishy or garlic-based, to attract fish in murky water. The nibbled appearance is likely from local wildlife or insects investigating the strong smell before you disposed of it. For weeks, I thought I was being too rough with my aluminum foil because I kept getting leaks every time I baked anything. Today was sunny, and holding the foil up to the light, I saw several lines of tiny holes running along the entire length of brand new sheets. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a manufacturing defect known as pinholing. Aluminum foil is created by rolling large aluminum billets through heavy steel rollers to achieve a thickness of about 0.0006 inches. If microscopic dust, debris, or localized tension occurs during the rolling process, the metal can fracture or tear, creating uniform lines of tiny perforations. Since it compromises the foil's ability to seal in moisture and heat, manufacturers will typically replace the rolls for free if you report the batch number. What is this brightly colored, segmented silicone object found discarded on the ground in town this morning? It consists of a series of gradually increasing spherical shapes connected by a flexible core, culminating in a loop handle at one end. Does anyone know what it is? It's a set of silicone anal beads. This adult novelty item is designed with a graduated series of spheres that allow for progressive physical stimulation. The loop handle at the base serves a critical safety function, acting as a flared stopper to prevent the entire item from being accidentally absorbed or lost internally. Because it was found abandoned in a public space, it is highly recommended to leave it alone or safely dispose of it as biological waste. Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.